Here's a horror-related riddle for you. What has 2 thumbs, a skeleton sidekick, 2 brand new boxes of horror movies, and isn't wearing pants under this table? Yes, indeed, it's true. The horror packs for May of 2021 have arrived. Not quite safely on my porch. As you can see, the post office did some damage to this one, so I hope the contents are okay. But regardless, as is our way, I'm going to open them up. We're going to go through and see what the fine folks over at HorrorPack have sent me this month. Before we get into it, I just want to remind you, through the end of this month, May 2021, I'm holding a contest here on my YouTube channel. I'm giving away a big box of horror novels. I've left a link down in the What's It so you can find the video where I announced that contest and you can see all the rules and what you need to do. So if you want to enter to win, make sure you do that. But with no further ado, let's open these up and see what the fine folks at HorrorPack have sent this month. Alright, so there's the first one, and it doesn't indeed feel like too much damage has been done, so that's promising. Let's go ahead and grab the second one. And here's horror pack number 2. So let's open up the actual packs and see what we've got. Okay, this one looks like the DVD pack, and first up is Rise, Blood Hunter, starring Lucy Liu, who I'm familiar with, although I'm not familiar with this film. The description on the back says, female reporter Sadie Blake wakes up in a morgue to find herself a member of the undead, the victim of a brutal vampire ritual. Trying desperately to fight off her thirst, Sadie prowls the dark city streets, armed with a crossbow and hell-bent on slaying the twisted vampires that made her this way. With an all-star cast featuring etc., 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 prepare for a bloody descent into a terrifying underworld. Vampire story. You know, I haven't actually seen a good vampire movie in quite a while, so I'm hopeful that this one fills that void in my life. Next up is Teeth and Blood. The tag says, death is just the beginning. This is another one I'm not familiar with. The description on the back says, once bitten, forever damned. A beautiful diva is murdered on the set of horror director Vincent Augustine's latest film, Chapel Blood. Somewhere between the crime scene and the coroner's van, the body mysteriously disappears. Meanwhile, the city's supply of donated blood is being dangerously depleted. Suspecting a connection between the events, detectives Mike Hung and Sasha Colfax go undercover at the studio to investigate. Their attempt to crack the case quickly turns into a desperate battle for survival when they uncover an age-old war between rival vampire covens that threatens to consume humanity in a final grisly assault of Teeth and Blood. So this is another vampire film, which makes me happy. As I mentioned, I haven't seen a good vampire film lately, so hopefully at least one of these will be up to the challenge of feeding my craving for blood-sucking fiends. And next out of the DVD pack is a film called The Devil Incarnate. The tag here says, the last push for evil is here. According to the description on the back, a new breed of terror is born. The future looks bright for newlyweds Trevor and Holly, but their dreams are about to devolve into a nightmare of unspeakable terror. On a random visit to a tarot reader, they encounter a mysterious old woman who tells them that Holly is pregnant, but soon their joy is overshadowed by a mounting sense of dread that something sinister lurks within Holly's womb. As the child grows within her, she begins to exhibit increasingly bizarre and violent behavior. Desperate to save his wife and unborn child, Trevor searches for answers and discovers Holly may have fallen prey to an ancient curse spawned by an evil demon with an insatiable lust for blood. Well, this is another one that I'm unfamiliar with, but it sounds promising. According to the back, Dread Central calls it an outstanding offering, which is somewhat promising. I do like this kind of story, this evil baby kind of story that is kinda sorta in the demonic possession subgenre, but kinda sorta not. So everything lines up to look like it could be good, and I hope it is. And finally, the last one from the DVD pack is The Rake. It will infect us all, according to the tagline. Another one I'm not familiar with, so that's 4 for 4 in terms of new things for me. According to the description on the back, death is everywhere, no one is immune. At a young age, Ashley and Ben witnessed the brutal murder of their parents. Years later, Ashley is still convinced it wasn't someone, but something that killed her parents, and now she's tormented by the thought of the Rake returning for her and her family. Is Ashley traumatized, or is the creature inside her real? Interesting. Good-looking cover. Some interesting looking art on the back here. I'm not quite sure if you can see it or not, but it looks promising. And the Rake is a monster or creature that I've come across before. I don't actually know much about it, but I've happened across it on these creepypasta forums and websites and things, which I don't really get into a ton. I'm familiar with the sort of creepypasta genre, and I'm familiar with the name The Rake, and I've seen pictures, art, but I'm not really familiar with the mythology. So I'm looking forward to trying the film and learning something new. And that brings us to what must be the Blu-ray pack. So let's see what we have in here. The first one is 47 Meters Down, starring Claire Holt and Mandy Moore. So there's some star power to this, even though I'm not actually familiar with the movie. Based on the cover, I'm guessing it's a shark movie, but let's find out. The description on the back says, when the cable of their shark observation... Oh, it is a shark movie. When the cable of their shark observation cage breaks, sisters Lisa and Kate sink to the bottom of the ocean. As they battle injuries and a lack of oxygen, they must find a way to the surface, but their only path to safety is swarming with massive, great white sharks. So, typical shark movie, I guess is what you would say. It actually sounds like an interesting premise, sort of being trapped under the water and fighting the sharks, instead of being on a boat at the surface and fighting the sharks. So there's an interesting angle to it, and I hope for good things. It's not a film that I'm familiar with. Interestingly, the tagline here looks like it's in what I believe is French. So I'm guessing this is a bilingual dubbed edition, according to the back. Yes, it's an English language film, but there's also a French dub on the disc, so interesting. And next up is The Ascent. It feeds on the darkness within, according to the tagline. And I noticed some more French, both on the front and on the back. The description, in fact, is written in both English and French. According to the English version, because that's the one I can actually read, it says, after a series of disturbing supernatural events in his home, Joel, a single father, comes to suspect that his young son may be possessed. Well, that doesn't give me much to go off of. This is another film that I'm not familiar with. It does say on the front it's from the executive producers of Texas Chainsaw and Day of the Dead, so that's promising. There's some pedigree to this film. The description tells me really nothing more than that it's a possession story. I happen to always like a good possession story, so I'm looking forward to giving it a try. And third from the Blu-ray pack is A Night in the Woods, from the makers of Bronson and Monsters, according to the cover, and according to the description on the back. When three friends go hiking, jealousies, sexual tensions, and strained relationships come to a head, turning what should have been a peaceful camping adventure into a terror trip. As collective paranoia reaches fever pitch, it becomes clear that there is a much darker force at work in their ancient, eerie surroundings. Who or what is after them, and can any one of them survive a night in the woods? It looks, based on the photos here, like this might be a found footage film. It doesn't actually say so, so I'm not 100% sure, but it kind of has that look. If so, this seems a lot like a Blair Witch-esque type of a project. And if this is a Blair Witch kind of a project, that was the kind of film that was good once. And maybe it's good on a rewatch, maybe it's not good on a rewatch. People will argue about that all the time. What was so good about it was the unusual medium and the unusual marketing. And it seems like this might be the kind of film trying to redo some of that and recapture some of that magic. I don't think they actually can recapture Blair Witch, but hopefully, again, if that is indeed what this is trying to do, because it is a film I'm unfamiliar with, hopefully the storytelling of the film itself sort of elevates the genre a little bit and ends up with something good. It's certainly a premise that appeals to me, and I have optimism that the movie will live up to it. And finally, we have HorrorPack exclusive number 59, and that is Ashburn Waters. The tagline on the front says, "What is killing the campers at Ashburn Waters?" And according to the description on the back, when Brett agreed to join his friends on a high school reunion camping trip, he thought the height of his worries would be dealing with his ex-girlfriend and her new flame. Not a good thing. Horror notwithstanding, that's not a good thing. But little did he know that the campground, Ashburn Waters, had been closed due to unexplained murders, and now his friends are falling victim to the campground's curse one by one. You know what? I've seen this movie before. I mean, not this movie, but this is Friday the 13th. This is Sleepaway Camp. This is a movie. This is a premise. This is a story that we all know. But it's a classic for a reason, and as long as it's well made, I am always going to enjoy watching something kill campers out in the woods. That's just the way it is. So, this is right up my alley. Again, a film I'm unfamiliar with, which means I actually haven't seen any of these movies, but they all look promising, and I have hopes for all of them. So there it is, 8 promising-looking movies, none of which Dr. McCoy and I have actually seen before, so I'm going to head off and do so. Before I do, let me remind you one more time to check down in the What's It for the link to the video in which I announced my contest. Let me also just say thank you very much for watching. Please do make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel so that I can keep making more horror-related content. And as always, take care and stay scared.